Hello and welcome to the video. This is a quick look at the brand new radio that's been released today from Fly Sky. This is their new PA01 radio, also called the PROART. Now, Fly Sky have been quietly making radios for quite a while and isn't normally one of those manufacturers that I tend to get a lot of products in from. I loved their FSi6S style radios, but that was from about 9 years ago. So I haven't really played with a lot of their stuff since. They've made some nice radios like the Paladin, but the fact that they're not running EdgeTX and also ExpressLRS means that they're a little bit more niche and more of a proprietary radio system, so potentially less interesting to those of us that love the open source side of the hobby. In fact, the last radio I had in of theirs was back in summer 2018. It was their version of something when it was released was called the Nirvana NV14. Some of you remember that. Fly Sky still sell it. It's called the Elysium EL18. There was a lot of drama behind the scenes about that radio that I'm not going to go into, but that was kind of a bit of a funky design. Now, the modern hobby has definitely moved on to, for the open source part anyway, EdgeTX and ExpressLRS. So when Fly Sky contacted me and said they were making a radio that is EdgeTX and ExpressLRS, I thought, wow, I've got to get this in and have a look. This could potentially put them up there with a lot of the other vendors that we're using a lot for the ExpressLRS stuff. So while I unbox it, let's go through the specs. Again, this is the model PA01, loads of compatible receivers because it ships with either adhere HTS3, their protocol that Fly Sky have had for quite a long time, or you can use any ExpressLRS receiver. 18 channel for the internal radio frequency stuff and 32 channel for the external radio frequency bits and pieces, 2.4 gig, maximum power is just less than 20 dBm for the EU. Again, the big headlines for this is that it is AFHDS3 or ExpressLRS. I really hoped that you could switch between them, but actually you have to flash it. I'll show you that in a minute. So it's an either or. This came with AFHDS3, but I've changed it over to ExpressLRS. Runs on 18 650 cells, single antenna at the back, which is folding. That's one of the cute things about this radio that I really like. 2.4 inch, 240 by 320 full color screen. Sadly not touch, but actually for a radio like this, that actually might not be a problem. The case is black translucent plastic, which also means that they've put some LEDs inside, so it looks like something out of Tron when you power it on, which is going to be lovely for nighttime flying. You can edit those LEDs, the colours they're using, but also turn them off too. But in kind of evening and night flying, it's going to mean that you can, if your friends have the same radio, quickly differentiate by all having a slightly different colour. Dimensions 174.9 by 131.4 by 67.5 millimeters. Weight without the battery is about 343 grams, but you are going to have to pop in a couple of 18 650s under these grips at the back in order to power it. Charging is done via the USB-C port at the top, and it's got all the usual certifications. So let me give you a tour of the different controls and buttons on this, what we get and what we don't get. So let me power it on. You kind of have to press and then hold the button again to power it on. It's obviously designed like that, so if you accidentally press the power button, that it doesn't turn on. Again, there is a case. I would definitely get a soft case to protect it. As you've seen, that these sticks are removable and they have a place here in the grips where they stay. The big thing that you're obviously noticing, probably spotted already, is that you do have these funky LED or some kind of strips. I'm not sure the LED, but they're definitely funky. Just here at the bottom, nowhere else, but that you can turn them off, but they're just going to cycle through as we go through this to kind of show you all the different colors that you can choose from. I have set mine up as mode 2. As it came by default, the throttle was sprung. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I had to work a little bit to unspring that. There are access points at the back to some of the pieces to sort that out. In terms of the grip feels very nice. It feels like a chunky game controller rather than an RC thing. And the way it works is particularly nice for thumbers. It kind of sits in the palm of your hand, your fingers curl over the top and they have access to the buttons. We'll go through those in a minute, but you also have an extra couple of little press buttons here at the back for different features as well. So it feels really nice, and with a thumber you kind of get to all the controls really easily. Pinching, it's not too bad. There is this kind of shaped piece at the back. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Get my hand out of the way. So if you want to pinch it, you can. Your finger's still going to be on the switches, and because it's a slightly smaller gimbal, you can get into the corners. It's not as comfortable as some for the pinching, just because of the ergonomics. It feels like this is kind of getting in my way a little bit, whereas with the thumber it doesn't feel like that at all. In terms of controls, we have the forward and backward control for the menus over here. So if I go into the model menu, this will take me forwards and backwards, as you would expect. Over here is the model menu button and also the return. Normally these 4 buttons would be here on this side of the radio, but they've spread them out. In terms of the trims, we have 4 traditional trims, great for fixed wing. Down here by the side of each of the controls. The spring tension by default supplied on this is nice, and the gimbals feel okay. Absolutely, I would fly with these no problem at all. There is also an additional 4 switches here on the front that appear to be latching. However, they turn each other off, but you might be able to find a way to use those in your setups, maybe turning on LEDs or something else. They are nicely backlit. The actual scroll wheel is this thing here on the front. That's also your enter key. So if you press it, it'll bring up the standard menu. That is the only way that you can get into the actual menus. So if I just do that again, it does actually have Yahoo on the SD card. Not sure if it's going to have that as it ships. I would love to see both Yahoo and things like the iNav Lua script installed, as well as the Betaflight pieces. I'll show you those in a sec. If I just come out of this, let's go into the radio settings. That's how you get in the radio settings, because there isn't a radio or a system menu button. You have to go through those extra couple of steps. Not a disaster, but for someone that's very used to having the 4 navigation buttons over on the left, it's taken me a couple of days to get used to dealing with that. As you can see, still not 100% there. Let's exit out of that and cut back to the main screen. In terms of the switches, on the top we have this really nice, it pulls out and then it actually can also rotate as well, and you can move it around. So this, I think, is one of the cutest things on the entire radio, is actually that, and you can pop it back in for safety. Then on the top we have a latching switch on the left, touch button on the right, 2 3-position switches that you can get to for different flight modes, and on the back again we have these 2 momentary switches, and under this cover we have the small JR bay here at the back. If you want to pop in an external module, you can absolutely do that. LEDs and other things are actually controlled via the system menu, so again, to get into that we need to hit enter, go into radio settings, and then it's actually in here. If I tab all the way across, we can see special functions. It actually has the ability to choose different things. So if I want, there we go, that's a slightly different version. You can kind of change between the different designs if you want to change the colors. In terms of the feel, it actually feels really nice in the hand, particularly if you are a thumber, which I am. It just feels beautiful, and we can just put the antenna up vertical, and there you go, neck strap in the middle, little speaker. Oh, the only thing I'll talk about what these are in a minute. There are these 3 contacts underneath here as well, and what appear to be little recesses here in the ends of the grips. So it definitely feels like that's been designed to do something. To change the batteries, let me just turn it off and show that very quickly. Powered by 18650s, they don't come in the kit. To get into them, what you have to do is kind of put your nail in here, the grip pulls off, there's the battery, and then to get it out, they've really nicely thought about the recess here. You can get your finger in there and just pull it out really simply. Can be charged from inside the radio, but I normally pull these out and pop them on a dedicated charger. It tends to be an awful lot quicker. A couple of things to mention about this unit here. Again, this is a review unit, and it's always a little bit interesting getting the units before they're actually shipped, because I can't be 100% sure that how I've received it is how it's going to ship, because reviewers like me tend to feed back to the manufacturer about things we like and the things that we don't. Big thing here is that I did want to change the sprung throttle on it. You'll notice that it is set up for mode 2. That's how I like to fly. Getting into some of the adjustments for the sprung throttle was a bit tricky. I ended up actually popping the back off. Not particularly tricky, but it did give me a chance to have a look around and take some photos on the inside. The layout is very clean. I do like the way that everything is put together, and there seems to be quite a bit of thought. They are using a lot of these flat ribbon cables. Do you remember we had problems with them in the early kind of TX16 generation? Hopefully these will fare a little bit better. But for me to remove all the spring tension from the throttle, I had to completely disconnect the spring. The adjuster didn't go down far enough to completely release it, and then I did put a little bit of tension on the throttle just so that it stays in position. As I mentioned in the introduction, mine was supplied with the AFHDS3 system, and I did have to flash it to ExpressLRS. Isn't particularly tricky. There is an application that you can go on. It walks you through the particular process, and you just kind of turn your radio on, leave it plugged in via the USB port at the top, and it kind of does it all for you. It has, however, only updated it to ExpressLRS 3.0.5, I think it is, which isn't a particularly modern version. So hopefully that's going to be updated, and as they continue to work with the open source projects, the support for this will be integrated into those normal tools. So there's a lot of stuff that I like on here. I do like the fact that on the box they're saying that they are a gold EdgeTX partner. Hardware vendors need to support the open source projects they monetize. I hope that they're also going to be getting deeply involved with the ExpressLRS project too. I don't like it when manufacturers come along, start making stuff that use EdgeTX and ExpressLRS or iNav or Betaflight or whatever it is, and don't get involved and contribute back to the project. That's why I get excited when people who are making VTOL craft actually become official partners of things like RD Pilot. I do like the pull, twist and tilt antenna. That is a lovely design, and I would like to see that on more radios, please. I love the fact that it kind of folds down. I do like the removable sticks as well. They are height adjustable, which is good. However, I would recommend that you get yourself some nice bright yellow or orange paint and paint the tips or part of it that colour. If these things get dropped into the grass, you are never going to find them again, and they are quite fiddly to pop on. I quite like the TronStar lights and the plastic on this thing. They might not be everyone's cup of tea, but actually this is a very different looking radio, and you've already seen the layout of the buttons and controls are a little different too. So if you don't want to be part of the standard crowd and have the same radio as everybody else, there's definitely now a different option. The ergonomics are quite good. The sticks are nice and easy to use. The rubber grips make it feel really solid in the hand, and the switches do fall easily into place, even if, as I've said, there isn't quite enough switches if you want to get in really into things like iNav and RD Pilot on fixed wing. But this is going to be absolutely fine for basic wings on something like iNav, but I think it's really aimed at multi-rotor pilots with Betaflight. Nicely balanced on the next drop too, with the batteries in. I know that's something that I get asked about every time. Sadly, there isn't a case that comes with this. I would probably recommend getting yourself some kind of soft case. I've looked at them on the channel before. I'll put a link in the description below. Those kind of things can be really good. If this is going to be going in a backpack along with a quad or a plane or something else, it's just going to stop getting it all scratched up and damaged. I like that it runs on 18650 cells, and those are relatively easy to get to and also remove as well. That means that you can have a spare set of cells charged when you go to the field, and when it gets low you can just swap them out. I'm not a fan of inbuilt batteries, and I do like the way that they've added their own little touch here. They haven't gone with the same conventional layout that everyone else has. They've done something a bit funky and given Flysky users an opportunity to get the new radio like this and run something like AFHDS3. Very hard to say that, but actually move on to something like ExpressLRS later on. Couple of last points. I'm a fan of the manual as well. The manual is actually laid out really nicely, and they have taken the time to explain how to do things like navigate the EdgeTX system. So if you're new to that, the manual doesn't just assume that you're going to watch 20 YouTube videos to try and figure it all out. And also these little exposed contacts here on the bottom are actually designed for an optional base that you can buy, that you can sit on it and it'll charge it and do everything, like the kind of controller chargers that you can get for things like PlayStation and Xbox. Only a couple of things to be aware of from the time that I've had it so far. Again, there's no case, so think about that. It does ship with AHEF HDS3 installed on the internal RF stuff by default. Hopefully they offer different versions. It's not too tricky to swap it over to ExpressLRS, but you do have to go through that process in order to unlock it. And sadly, it's an either-or thing. I kind of hoped that there was a funky way that you could choose between those so that you could, if you have an existing investment in Fly Sky receivers, just kind of switch between them without having to flash your radio. If you're used to a more standard button layout for EdgeTX menu navigation, this is going to annoy you. There's no system button, so you have to get into the system by pressing the enter wheel and then selecting that from the menu. The screen isn't touch. Feels like the rotary controls are catching on something. They're not. I think they just feel a little bit stiff and notchy. I think that's by design. I don't particularly like that, but that's probably more of a personal thing. Changing the sprung throttle, as I've already mentioned on my review unit, meant undoing the case. I couldn't get to all the screws at the back. Not ideal, but I do hope they ship it with different mode setups. As I did recently, there is an awful lot of people who fly mode 2 and lots of others fly mode 1. And for me, I'll be watching both ExpressLRS and things like EdgeTX Companion to see how long the support appears for this radio in the actual direct tools themselves. So in summary, this is a nice little radio from Fly Sky. Very happy to see them getting on board with the modern hobby with EdgeTX and ExpressLRS. Perfect for quad flyers, but as I've said, probably a little short on buttons if you want to be playing around with things like iNav or sophisticated RD Pilot UAVs. For those looking for a more solid radio for things like their bind and fly whoops, this is going to be a really nice option. It's definitely a step up from some of the very simple bind and fly stuff that you can get. So Fly Sky, tick v good. This is actually an impressive radio and very nice. I wish that it had the ability to swap between the traditional and ExpressLRS systems at the flick of a switch rather than flash stuff, but apart from that, I can't find a lot of things that would stop me from getting one. Thank you for watching my video. Check out the playlist, and adding Painless 360 to your search terms will help you find my content. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. You can support the time I spend here answering questions and helping others by using the links in the video description.